Okay, if everybody's okay, why don't we get started? A good Saturday morning to everyone from both Karen and myself in Sherman, Connecticut. The sun has just come out here. It's a gorgeous day, and I hope you are having a gorgeous day wherever you are. Karen and I are splitting our time between here and Washington Heights, where my studio work continues, and we do some of our company work. But here, we're here in a little escape house at a small lake community on a beautiful little pond, and we're getting some time out on the kayaks and working in the yard and enjoying all the birds in the bird feeders that Karen has put out. So it's kind of a nice place to be, and I hope you all have been had a chance to have a good refuge wherever you are. It's been obviously a long year. There's a lot of news about the company to update you about. The last few months have presented us with a great opportunity to do some major reorganizing. Though we recently bid a fond farewell to board president Regina Zona, who brought great energy and enthusiasm to the organization and helped us look at some company branding ideas. We welcome Nermeen Ahmad and Minjae Kim as our new board co-chairs. They are focused on steps to professionalize and expand the board, which also welcomed 3 new members last month. Vanessa Caridi, who's been an amazing help to me in understanding some technical vocal issues in auditions, and also has some great ideas about singer development. John Yohalam, who is with us today. He's a respected critic in the opera world and across some other worlds as well, wonderful writer. And he brings those great writing skills to the table as a great help to us. And third, Kenny Harmon, who's a company alum. He brings an interest in special projects to broaden the scope of our work and collaborations with other organizations. So if you have a chance, if you know any of them and have a chance to say hello to them or to thank them for joining us and bringing their energy, please do so. Just as significantly, we welcome Mariana, well, I should say re-welcome Mariana Mott-Neuwirth, who has been promoted from artistic administrator and been named our first executive director. She will spearhead a 5-year outlook for the company, allowing Karen Rich, who's been our managing director for as long as we've had one on this project for 20 years or more, to concentrate on financials and development, her favorite stuff in the world to do. Mariana is also very involved with the New York Opera Alliance, which makes her a great representative of the company to the many other opera organizations in the area. Based on a great deal of listening that included an internal roundtable last year, we are also renewing our commitment to principles of equity, diversity, and inclusion in all aspects of the company. We are reviewing, formalizing, and making these commitments public, and we will be appointing also an independent contact for anyone in the organization to share any concerns or complaints in a safe space. This is ongoing work. I really believe that this work has to happen on a cellular level. It's not something that we can do just with lip service. We all have to look at it. We all have to figure out the training. We all have to figure out where we can do better. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all the enthusiasm everyone on the roster and on the board and our administrative staff has given us for what we're trying to do. The uncertainty and especially all the moving targets of this long year have been really frustrating and often heartbreaking for all of us. And by carefully examining all the avenues that are opening up in New York, we're confident that in coming months, we can break through many of the obstacles we've faced. We're excited to be actively imagining and reimagining a series of projects for the coming months that we trust will be engaging for both you and for our audiences, and not to mention safe and achievable. The most important ingredient to make things go forward, though, is you. Because of your spirit and the renewed energy of our board, I'm optimistic that we can build out all of the other support we need to make it happen. So let's get to some of the programming plans. The next wave of performance beyond the live streams and other digital presentations we may have become a little numb to is clearly going to be outdoor events. And we are in discussion with the New York Parks Department and some other organizations to present a series of events, including recitals or multi-singer concerts, either themed or with more popular offerings like the arias that people have been wanting to hear live for a year, or a collaborative project with other organizations. One of our new board members, Kenny Harmon, had the wonderful idea of presenting a program centering around the many versions of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, to include monologues and arias and dance pieces and more. We've already opened up some discussion with a couple of great New York companies about this project. And while it's a little slow getting going because it's a project potentially with many arms, I think it has some great potential and could be a lot of fun. One of my former neighbors, when I lived in Inwood, runs Martha Graham 2, the sort of training company for Martha Graham Dance Company. And she and I will be speaking hopefully in the next week. And she's excited about maybe having some of her dancers work and do a presentation as part of this. Second, master classes and language work. I'm really excited to share with you that Chuck Hudson has proposed a 5-class follow-up to last year's sessions, building on all the amazing information that he shared with you. And he'll also be offering discounted solo coachings. And if we're really lucky, maybe we can even subsidize some of those kind of things. It'll be all virtual and without the need for travel, which is a nice thing if you're spread around a little bit from state to state. We're also working on classes for on-camera work, especially to help you out with auditions that are increasingly, I believe, going to be done on video. Perhaps some Spanish language repertoire with Pablo Zinger and some other topics. And of course, we also want to continue the language work for both Juana and Ana Bolena with Lucy Yates and Pablo. One of the ways that I think we can work together almost immediately as a community is working on libretti. And this is an area where Mariana and I have a real common interest. And it's kind of a niche where she's would love to be more active, especially with new libretti. She's working on a wonderful project with Carlo Lucero, the composer of Juana. Can you share details of that at all at this point?
Yes, it's an opera on the radical life of Helen Keller, and it's called Touch. So that kind of gives you an idea of, we're getting into sterignosis, but it's about Helen Keller's adult life. We're way past the water mark, so to speak. So.
A good second draft is underway. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. We're actually going to be having a second table read in about a week and a half.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's been our COVID project.
And Carla has actually just been announced as the recipient of an important new commission for LA Opera.
Yeah, she's working. I know a bit about this. This is a piece called LA Opera Connects, and it is a liturgical piece about the three women of Jerusalem, which will be broadcast around the world. There's literally going to be choirs, I believe, global choirs zooming in as well as in person. There's like organ. It's a huge piece. I did a little bit of
really
consulting with her.
And we need to actually republicize the press release that came out.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting what she has going on.
So in addition, along these lines, we hope to make some more technology mini grants, allowing for more virtual coachings and also some small group rehearsals. The technology is getting better and smoother and easier to use, fortunately. And also really super exciting to me, we have agreed to present the first public, that is virtual, libretto reading of a new opera libretto by Felix Gerard on one of his favorite authors, Edgar Allan Poe. And we're also committed to making space for other librettists who are incubating new works. So you're going to hear an awful lot more about libretto work, and I think we're going to have a good time with that. Finally, the most challenging projects are obviously the biggest ones. There are more moving pieces, more bureaucracy to navigate, especially if we're in the state system for a state school system for a venue. There are bigger dollars to raise. There are more complicated safety protocols to create and implement. As many of you are aware, we're in the early stages of planning filmed presentations of both Ana Bolena and Juana. Because Baruch College still does not know officially whether they'll be open, those projects have to be pushed most likely to the fall, September, October. Ana Bolena, we are conceiving as an artist showcase, hopefully to be filmed in mid-September, concert dress with piano, and staging devised by Sarah Young. Sarah was with us for La Liberazione di Ruggiero a couple of seasons ago and has recent valuable film training and experience to share. Specific casting assignments will be divided by scene amongst the two original casts and some equally capable covers in a sort of kaleidoscopic treatment of the opera. A month or so later, there is the potential for a more fully produced filmed version of Juana. It would include the original chamber orchestration, costumes, and staging by Rod Gomez, who's with us today. Hi, Rod. With Francisco and David Salazar as our filmmakers. You probably know their names mostly from seeing them on the byline for Opera Wire, but I got to know their work as filmmakers watching the live film they did of B. Goodwin and Felix Gerard's opera Tabula Rasa. And they have some great ideas for the realization of this piece. And I've always thought that Juana was sort of cinematic in a way, very short scenes, flashbacks, and that sort of thing. So I think that sort of telling could be really, really interesting. Mariana, are you aware that there's somebody in the waiting room?
I had let someone in. Nope, there does not appear to be anybody in the waiting room.
Oh, that's weird. I've got one on my screen. I'm just going to poke the button and.
Go ahead.
There we go. Maybe they're already here. Both of the bigger projects obviously will require some in-person rehearsal. In addition to the importance of vaccinations for everyone, we'll also need to find safe and affordable rehearsal space. In an industry where many of those studios have either closed or scaled back operations, safety will be a prime consideration, but there's going to be a lot of pragmatic issues to sort out as well. Because things are changing every day and plans are still developing, I'm not asking anyone to commit to anything just yet. But I will say that right of first refusal we offered a year ago is still valid for any assignment that we're able to bring to life in coming months.
I attended a concert performance of sections of Mephistopheles at the Teatro Graticello gave last fall. It was the first time I'd been in a room with singers performing for quite some time, and a great pleasure in a rehearsal studio on just east of Grand Central Station. I can't remember its name now, but I could see if that's still available and what the restrictions are.
Absolutely. We're going to need every lead on those sort of things that we can find. Thank you, John. So most everything we've spoken about is at the idea stage. And what we really need now is your input and ideas, just like John offered. And so I'd like to sort of now open up a little conversation by giving you a few questions as a sort of a prompt. First, what can we do better or more usefully? And related to that, of the ideas I've already laid out, what are your thoughts on how those ideas could be most engaging and useful? So basically, if there's things that we're not talking about that you'd love to hear us include in plans, please let us know those things. And if you have ideas about what we have laid out, we want to hear that as well. And finally, on the sort of flip side of what we are offering to you, connecting to the spirit that has developed among us over the last year, I'd like to really ask each of you to think about how you can be a more integral part of how the organization does its work. I was truly, truly touched by those of you who deferred half fees or donated to the Artist Relief Fund for your fellow artists last year. When people were really in need, a lot of you came through, and it was really special. And also, I sort of felt like everybody was putting the survival of the company as a priority as well. But this really isn't about money. With the leadership of one of our board co-chairs, Nermeen Ahmad, we are just now embarking on a process to create an online community intersecting alumni, faithful audience members, and donors. A community that will generate interest in dell'Arte and its alumni, and potentially also generate donations as well. We hope you'll be willing to add your efforts to help us build an organization for the future of opera, and especially for emerging opera artists. Maybe you have a few hours to put towards administrative tasks, or to participate in our equity, diversity, and inclusion discussions and efforts, or to appear as an ambassador to the company in talks to schools or other organizations about our work. All of it can add a vital pulse to the health of the company. Just as dell'Arte has always been about supporting the development, I'm also so optimistic about artists supporting the development of dell'Arte for the sake of future artists. So thank you for listening to a lot of information. I can't wait to hear from as many of you as want to share your ideas. If you'd like to speak, you can put your hand up, or you can put a question in the chat function. Please feel free to take a brief moment also to share what's going on in your life along with your ideas. So let's open it up. If anyone has a question, Mariana is going to sort of monitor and moderate the discussion. So thank you for that, Mariana. You're muted, Mariana.
So you can physically raise your hand. We don't need to do the raise hand feature. It's just because I have all of you on my screen. So raise your hand and I will call on you. I know it's a lot to digest, right?
Absolutely. And even if it's just you want to say hello and tell us where you are.
We've got Frederick. I will unmute you, Frederick.
I'm just curious what the vision for the these are, you said they're like soloist / concert pieces for the Ana Bolena and the Juana. Like what is the overall vision of that? I'm curious.
It's still developing, of course, but I think what I'm thinking is, as a whole scene, we'll have a cast. And then for the next scene, we might rotate someone else in a role. And maybe in the way that people choose their formal attire, we can do some color hints so that we can follow characters through, and some titles and that sort of thing. But the main idea is that we want to give everybody a chance to do some film work, and also to have as well a filmed product that they can have to use, not only for us as a company to share with our audience, but also for you to put up on your own websites and be able to share as kind of like audition material as well.
Is this with orchestra or with piano?
With piano.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
A lot of what we're trying to do is also think about how we can keep the numbers of people as low as possible at any one given time, just to keep things simple and keep the protocols more manageable. And that's why, probably in late July or August, when we'd be rehearsing, the first piece would be Bolena, and that's one of the reasons we want to keep the numbers low, because we still don't know what's going to be happening at that point. And frankly, the planning has to start and give us something manageable that we can imagine now.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Fred.
Cool.
I have a question.
Hello.
Hello. So when y'all are shooting and producing these video versions of the operas, is it going to be like everybody on a stage, or is it actually going to be like a real film?
We'll do live performance on stage.
Okay.
Multi-camera setup, and what we'll try to do is we'll try to run a scene to give it as much of a real performance feel as possible.
Can I ask why that choice versus the other?
The other being
like doing like a more like a film kind of situation.
I think that Juana is probably going to be more like that, because it lends itself to it.
Right.
There's something different about a piece like Bolena, where the operatic voice is sort of part of the presence, and having the sense that it's not broken up and that the camera doesn't become a voice as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Cool. All right, we're going to go on to Sarah Ann and then Diana.
You mentioned a little bit of timeline, month, dates. Does that mean outdoor concerts would be toward the end of the summer, possibly?
Hopefully even sooner. I'm hoping that even by May or June we could start doing some things. A lot of it just depends on connecting with the New York City Parks Department, which is kind of Byzantine and complicated, and
that's my job.
We have a contact there, but it's complicated and it takes time to arrange. And we're looking, one location that we're looking at is the patio of the New Leaf Cafe, which has been closed for, I think, almost a year now. But some other locations as well. We're also trying to pitch some Spanish language rep to the Hispanic Society in Washington Heights. And we'll just have to see what happens. We have to throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall, and we know something's going to stick.
And we think with numbers, of course, that's also with piano, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
And most likely with keyboard, because if it's outdoors, the idea of putting, getting a piano somewhere is pretty challenging.
Yeah.
have your performances and coachings and everything mostly been with keyboards?
Yes. So we did have a Liederabend that was with the piano. The space that we used had one, but it was, of course, outside. So things were, of course, compromised in a way with the sound. But all coachings that are outside are with a keyboard.
Right.
So,
Sarah Ann, you've been in Palm Beach, is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit about your contract down there. When did you get there?
Sure. So I started here on January 4th, and they've been, I really admire the way they've taken every safety protocol to the nth degree with us. We are, residing on our own. We get tested every 3 days. They're really on it with us. Everything is in open air, incredible distance in every way. We're not allowed to have a friend over to our apartment or anything like that. Everything's outside, and we've done a few master classes that were outside. And then we had a two-weekend festival of flute, bohem, and pagliacci. And usually they're spread out, one's in January ones and February ones in March. But they did it all at once to kind of keep it hyper focused so that, I think that worked well for them, and having all the principals here at once. We all had a certain amount of time with certain spaces, rehearsals outside, and that was in an amphitheater. So kind of like where you would go and see like a pop concert or something. So that was definitely interesting. And they were mic'd. It was very subtle. I have to say it didn't tend to sound like a pop star, and the orchestra was slightly mic'd as well.
Wonderful.
Semi-staged. And then the young artists had a production of Romeo and Juliet, the Bellini, the Capuletti in Montecchi.
Oh, wonderful.
And that was in a small outdoor space of a museum, and that was not mic'd. So singing outside it's not as bad as one might think, but yeah.
There's a new amphitheater opening up, outdoor concert space opening up also at Lehman in the Bronx. And I'm talking to Ben Spearman about that space as well. So that's a possibility. Many, many things. And if you know of other outdoor spaces where things have been successful, let us know. Been a lot of Pagliaccis because of the sort of tent circus thing. Atlanta Opera did a Pagliacci recently as well.
Diana Charlotte, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. It's so good
Hi,
to see
Diana.
Hi, everyone.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. This is so great. I'm wondering, as you're talking about this vision of like advocacy through, us sharing our experiences about the value of the company, how we could get more involved, how we could sign up. What is like the format for how we can be most helpful to you and most involved?
At this point, it's really on the front side. In fact, Nermeen was telling me that next week, her business partner has been looking at the many social media networks that are sort of ruling the world right now. And he's been looking for ways himself to create a new kind of sort of semi-internal social network that is more positive and more community inspired. And she's super excited about it, she's promised to have him begin to show it to me next week. But it sounds like a really wonderful thing with pages for artists and ways to connect to donors that we could have donor sponsors of singers, more contact between singers and our audience, ways to post content, and have it be a community-based amount of content, which, to be perfectly honest, I think Karen and Mariana and I are thrilled about, because it means that we're going to be a little less responsible for always coming up with the content. One of the ways that singers can always help us is thank you letters. It may feel a little odd to write a thank you note to somebody you've never met, but when that happens, it makes a huge impact. I was watching a really great presentation by Mark Skorka, the president of Opera America, just 2 days ago, and he was making a plea for people to get much more directly involved with their patrons, and what a big impact that can make. So that's one of the things. We'll definitely in the next 2 or 3 weeks be sending out a little note about this, and I'm going to send basically a summary of today's meeting out, and responding to that would be a great way for you to say, hey, I would love to do X, or I don't know what you need me to do, but I'm there. Thanks. That's a great question, and I appreciate your enthusiasm.
Of course. Thank you for setting this up, and I'm excited to keep going together.
Me too.
Do we have any other questions
There's
on the
chat
on the floor? It's pretty quiet in the chat. Yes, actually, Jessica, I just saw your message about writing thank you notes. What I'm going to drop in, I have a dell'Arte email address now, which is admin@dell'arte.org, dell'Arte Opera. I'll put it into the chat. Send me a quick note and let me know if you're interested in being part of this letter writing campaign to our donors, and I will help manage that and give you addresses and information. Also, the video, we were shooting little short sort of selfie thank you messages about this time last year, which really were very effective. So you can also do that if you're more comfortable than trying to pen an actual ink and paper note. So both are valid. So I'll put my email in now, and you can send me an email. I'm going to unmute you. Mike, I'm forgetting your name. There we go. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. No, it's Stefan. No, it's just kind of piggybacking on what Chris was saying. My wife and I have been able to do a couple of concert grams with a company out of Boston. And it's specifically requested by somebody that, they would like to gift a concert to someone for like a birthday or an anniversary or something like that. And we've been able to then interact with them via email following the concert, and having that we've actually not just like send a thank you email, but actually have conversation through email and engage with them. And that's been like one of the most wonderful things for us as performers, where you build this video and then you can't really interact with your audience or anything like that. And so, as a suggestion, we might be able to see if we could engage with people that way, or along with a thank you letter, maybe send them a brief clip of something, send them some sort of content that says, hey, we really appreciate your support. We really appreciate you engaging with our community. We'd love to send you this aria. Do something that also shows that product, shows the spirit of the company, and shows them, hey, we're here. We're going to be live again soon. And then also just I've jumped in a lot with video editing and audio editing. So if there's any situation where somebody needs to put together soundtracks and accompaniment tracks, or needs a resource for somebody to play, like we have a friend of ours that works at Boston Conservatory, you just send them the aria, she'll get it back to you in 2 hours. And it's really amazing. So there's resources for engaging with other people to get that kind of stuff together. And it's quite fantastic. So it's been difficult to figure out how to reimagine what you're doing, but there's so many people that want it. And the community has been so helpful in saying, hey, you need this, let's figure it out and make it happen. And you learn a lot while you do it, but it's soothing for the soul just to be in that process. So excellent stuff.
Thank you. That's wonderful information and good contacts. And once we send out once I send out the summary of the meeting, if you want to reply with more of that information, contacts of anyone that you think is a good resource, and if you have prices and things for what they charge for things, that's great too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Ellen.
And Mariana, I know, is going to be jumping up and down for editing help.
Yeah,
she's very good at it, but
I want help. Yeah, go ahead. Ellen.
I know enough to get myself in trouble, so we'll figure it out together.
Very good.
That's where we all are with a lot of the tech right now.
Yeah. All right, now Ellen, take it away.
Hi.
This is a reissue with all these amazing players. So they called I don't know what they called it originally. Jazz at Massey Hall. It was like Concert of the Century or something like that. These are originals. It's really beautiful. Savoy, and on his own label, the Charlie Parker label.
There we go. Sorry about that. Jeff is on his stoop in Brooklyn right now, and his Saturday morning activity usually is selling vinyl recordings of opera and other things. So I think he but unmuted himself.
Oh my gosh.
Good to see you, Ellen.
Good to see you. I just had a quick question. You had mentioned
in part of this, like how we can help you earlier on, something like outreach in schools or something like that, I think I heard.
That's something that we're looking at as a possibility. And like, for instance, Nermeen was saying, Nermeen is very involved in the programming committee at the Harvard Club. And that's one place where we've done things before. And if we can present there again, that would be great. Schools, women's clubs, John Yohalam was mentioning, how some programming he has seen, and what makes it great kind of programming, and looking for ways that we could do that kind of thing, and maybe make it, show how we do what we do. I think one of the things that's exciting about this possibility of connecting this way is that our company is so much about process, and if we can find ways to share what we do as process with audience in an exciting way, I think that might be part of what we want to do.
I was just thinking, have you guys thought of collaborating with any sort of like summer camp type things? Because I feel like there's a ton of outdoor summer camps, and if we need like outdoor places to connect with young people.
I hadn't thought about that, but that's something that we have. I'm not sure if she's still here, but one of our other board members, Min Jae, there she is. Hi, Min Jae. Min Jae Kim is one of her big interests is connecting to youth and bringing them to opera and opera to them. So that's going to make her smile, I think, hearing that suggestion. And it's something that I don't know much about. Summer camps in New York, but it's maybe something that we should explore. And if you have more information about that, let me know.
You can research.
That's great. Mariana, do we have any other questions stacked up? No?
There's nothing else in the chat right now. So I think we are complete for the moment, perhaps.
Does anyone else want to just say hello and let us know?
Tell us where you are. How are you? How have you gotten through the last year?
I haven't heard from Anna or Jessica or Rod. Oh, Luisa Maria is here also. I hadn't seen you. Welcome.
May I speak?
Please, Rod.
Hello, everybody. So great to see everybody. Thank you, Chris and Karen and Mariana, for all of this wonderful input and updating and everything. I'm still here in the area. I have not gone anywhere, and I just had my second shot, 10 days ago or so. Yeah, a little worse for the wear after the second one, but not too bad. So I think everything makes sense. One pragmatic question would be just regarding timeline. I know we spoke of, I know everything is absolutely fluid, but more or less, but just as far as target dates, if you were looking at Bolena in September, you were also then thinking of you said Juana after that, or are you looking at October or?
Probably October. We're looking, a part of it is just a venue issue. We think that there's a couple of different possibilities for Ana Bolena, because it's a little simpler shoot. You don't need as much space if you're not doing orchestra. And it's actually smaller groups of people. But then we're kind of counting on Baruch to be open by October. We already have a deposit in with them for the rental there, and it's, if you know that, people that know that space know that it's a great big black box kind of space. So there's a lot of flexibility in how it could be used.
Also very well air conditioned, so that it's a
very good
ventilating system. That was one of our first questions when we first started to pick up the conversation again. So just to let you all know.
And also very, very quiet because it's 3 stories underground. But if you're just kind of logically thinking, if we're talking Bolena in September, that would mean late July or early August to do some in-person things, and for Juana, probably around the filming for Bolena, which would take place over less than a week. Probably we're thinking probably 3 or 4 days. In September, looking for September and early October, looking at in-person rehearsals for Juana, and as much virtual work as we can do before that. And I am not vaccinated yet. I have my first appointment not until May, but at least it's in the books. And if I can get vaccinated sooner, I will do so. So I'm looking forward to working in person again, very much so. It's kind of remarkable how the virtual collaboration thing has become not something that I want to have happen all the time, but I think it's going to be a useful tool. I was thinking about, coaching clients I've had in Brooklyn or the Bronx or whatever, and they might want a half an hour to review an aria for an audition that's coming up. I mean, how nice to just turn on your computer, set up your mic, and you're there. Ellen and I had a really lovely coaching day before yesterday, or was it yesterday? It's all kind of a blur. And Anna and I have done a good bit of virtual coaching as well. It can work quite well. Oh, you're muted again, Mariana.
I keep trying to unmute myself. So as the executive director, one of the other areas that I am exploring with dell'Arte is what intercompany collaborations can look like. Chris is starting in with this with the Shakespeare Company, and I am on this inquiry, I guess, of what is it for an opera company to work with a ballet company or a library, or those we are in that point right now where we can start to really break out of the proscenium that we've been in for 100 years, and what does opera look like now outside of what we have expected it to be. So I am really open to hearing your thoughts and ideas and suggestions, and as you go and working with other companies and see ways that work or ways that don't work between companies, talk to me, let me know, because that's as I put together a 5-year strategic plan for us, that's something I'm really interested in building on, and it's hard work because no one's created it yet. So it's the back and forth and the discovery with one another as we go into this time that is going to be really rich and really interesting, and probably a little frustrating as well. But any ideas that you guys have, any wow, here's a wacky idea that I heard about or that I tried, tell me about it. Call me. We'll have, I just got my second shot, so I'm good to go as well. So if you're in New York, I can start to meet. But I'm really a sponge right now for what your experiences have been this past year and what you see would like to be your experience going forward. So I'm here for you. Okay.
The last opera I saw, Seattle Opera is in the part, has filmed and is streaming Jonathan Dove's Flight. And they filmed it in the Flight Museum in Seattle. And they used things like they had a septet at one point, and they showed the cockpit of a plane, and the faces lit up various dials there. And that's how they joined that in, and then showing people at various angles as they're shooting various parts of which I've seen done a wonderful abduction from the Seraglio in the Airplane Museum in Salzburg. But that's sort of taking presently empty spaces like that. Chris has mentioned the Hispanic Society, but I think that's undergoing reconstruction or something inside. But there is the courtyard.
Yeah. I think Stephen Steffens, did you?
Yes,
I think I see your hand up.
I just unmuted you. Unmute. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I have one thought and one question. The thought is, Chris, you and Karen should just drive down to South Carolina because there's a ton of vaccines and no one wanting to take them.
Oh.
So you have a wait time of approximately 8 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
My question is, when you do when you've been doing coachings and stuff virtually, I've been teaching a lot virtually as well, and I've run into the issue of sound quality.
Yes.
How you have dealt with that, even with like external mics and stuff. Is there some like settings function that you use, or do you want to just give me like a brief overview of how you approach that?
I've got to say that I've only been using one particular platform. That's the JamKazam platform, and to use that platform, I've got a pretty good but not expensive Audio-Technica mic, and I have a PreSonus audio interface, and I have a decent set of headphones. So those three things together cost about $250 to $300. And that gives me pretty good sound quality over JamKazam. JamKazam has now gone through a paywall, but it's not bad. I mean, if you're, I've got the full year, I think for $200. Or if you do it by the month, it's $20 a month. And if you're not teaching, if you're just taking coachings, it's only $10 a month. So, other than that, I can't really give you too much information. I know that there have been there are lots and lots of other resources available. I can try to connect you with some of those resources. There's a guy named Ian Howell at New England Conservatory who's been amazing for the singer community in terms of getting information out there about sound technology and what things you can do to not only improve sound quality, but also dealing, of course, with the latency issue.
Sweet, thank you.
Remind me when the summary comes out, and I will see if I can connect you to some specific information. Jessica
awesome.
had her hand up also.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. First, thank you so much for having this. It's really nice to see everyone and to get updates, and all the possibilities sound super exciting. So really, really looking forward to everything. I guess, firstly, I'm in Florida right now, but I'm going back to Boston on Monday. I was just visiting my family for spring holidays, so that's been nice. And right now I've just been working with Vincito Academy with Addie Rose, actually, so that's been really fun and really great to up, and of course coaching with you when I can, Chris, as well. And then my question for moving forward, because and I know other people asked about the timeline, but I was wondering, what should we be doing maybe musically to prepare for all the possibilities of what could happen moving forward with the film and with outdoor concerts? Like, is there anything we can be doing now in that respect?
I think the first thing that we all have to do is just text. And that's something that we can do very easily. You don't even need to have very good sound technology. The text coaching can happen via Zoom. I've done a lot of text coaching with certain of you, and it's been very, very useful. But I'd love to get back to that. And then if we can get the rest of the technology going, that's good as well. In terms of the readings, I have to sort of go back and see where we left off and see who's still around and see who's not around. And we'll get on that. So there'll be some more information in the next week or two.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
I'm looking back at the chat. Bye, Fred. Is there anyone else that had questions? I'm cycling back through here. I think that's everybody. Oh, I think I see Ellen. Ellen has a hand up.
Sorry. So just one other question. It sounds like you're sort of inviting us to like think entrepreneurially about the company and what we can do and plan with you. Like, yes. Okay. So for that, would we be able to have I don't know, make like a mini database of us, of this roster, of what kinds of things each of us sings or likes? Or because if you're inviting us to like think of an idea for a concert or something like that, we'd have to know like what kind of voices. Like, is that really the kind of thing you would like us to do?
I think that would be just fine. That's a great idea. And if we're doing outdoor concerts and we're not just doing everybody's favorite aria, if you're trying to do something themed, that's a great way to sort of like see where we intersect. I know on the Songs from Hibernation series, several people did Florence Price songs, and actually I had to like fend several of you off because everybody wanted to do Florence Price songs. She was sort of at the top of the list of female Black composers, and so I was like, wow, let me learn some of her songs. And it was great because I got to learn some rep that I did not know before, and it was wonderful. So, maybe some people want to do, female Black composers and put together a song about that, a recital about that. Karen and I did a program, a house concert in Innsbruck years ago. And it was looking out onto this professor's garden. And half the stuff we did was German songs that were talking about gardens and flowers and streams and things. And it was just amazing. There was Alps in the background. And maybe if we're doing outdoor concerts, maybe we look at some things that talk about nature. But whatever other sort of content or interests that we have, I think that's a great idea.
Well, and if it was going to be like excerpts from operas or such, at that point, we need to know like, okay, like where are my mezzo sopranos at?
Absolutely.
Like, what kind, like, because it's hard to tell just from this casting, like what all people really like feel comfortable in.
I think you and I should set up a time to talk. Just give me all your ideas, and I'll help to structure it into a way we can work it.
This is like the fun kind of thinking. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
No, please don't.
No, all good. Boy.
You have a photo bomber there.
Oh, yeah. This is my Zoom cat Calypso. Wherever my attention is where she is.
Addie Rose.
Addie Rose. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. So I was just going back to your thoughts about doing collaborations with other companies or other types of performers. Some of you might remember Lauren Hlubny, who did choreography for Princess Malène. I had just she had sent me a message out of the blue like a week or two ago just to say hi. And we talked very casually about the fact that she's done a bunch of dance, and I think mainly she's done dance and instrumentalist collaborations, doing choreography with like a violinist and a dancer or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I had mentioned to her that I would be really interested to do, if she were ever looking for a singer to do a collaboration in a dance piece, but maybe she would be somebody, since she already has that, hands-on experience in creating that sort of collaborative, like mixed performer type experience, that could be a really cool avenue.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm in touch with her too. So that's, she's got a lot of interesting things in the pot.
For one of the things that Kenny and I were talking about with the Romeo and Juliet kind of thing is that it could be done multiple times, and whoever is around or available for a particular iteration of it, it's not that the companies necessarily even have to collaborate directly. It's that you show up, you do your thing, and then the fun thing is how the pieces sort of have a resonance or between them. So a direct collaboration between companies is possible, obviously more complicated, but maybe just as fulfilling. So. Hi, Andrea. I didn't see you before. Good to see you.
So we are at an hour. I just want to make sure we respect everyone's time. We could certainly stay a bit longer. It's fine if you need to go. It's awesome, really, to see your faces this way, and we look forward to it being more and more opportunities for face-to-face. So if there are any last questions, the call is out. Otherwise, we will complete this call. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for being here and for hanging with us and chatting a little bit. And I hope that we can do more of this kind of thing live soon. Hope you have a great afternoon.
We miss you guys.
Lots.